Hi, and thanks so much for joining me for my monthly Chanel One Eye, One Cheek, One Lip video. If you'd like to see that, please keep watching. This arrived in the mail, and if you saw my unboxing, we've already unboxed it, but we'll do it again here. Oh wow, I was actually looking for a cool blush, so that is really stunning. When I applied the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint this time, I used a primer. I went in with the Le Blanc de Chanel base first, because the first time I demoed this, I did not use a primer, just so you could see directly on the skin how it looked. I don't think a primer is necessary for this foundation because it's beautiful on its own, but the primer is very nice with it as well. Just a little bit of extra perfecting, I think. Let's go ahead now with the Tisse Cambon, and there's a lot of pink right here, so I want to kind of use that minimally. Also, this is very bright, so I think I'm going to go in with this all over the lid first and see how that works. I'm just gonna pat this color on. It's a beautiful, like grayish lilac-y shade. Has some shimmer. I do like this cool tone in here. I think it's really beautiful. Really beautiful shade. I think that's an easy one to wear. It does have some individual particles of shimmer in there. Very small, but I can see them, so it's not a totally even satin kind of finish. We're going to take now this deepest shade right here. That looks really intense. So let's see how that goes. Okay, actually quite nice. It's not as intense as I thought it would be, although it is definitely purple. So if you like purple, you might really like this one. Okay, I'm going to go in with this shade again and just use this to blend the two together and maybe intensify it for the crease. And what I like to do with the more statement colors, I think, in these, I feel like there's a statement color sometimes in these palettes. What I like to do is just take a little bit of that, and then I'm going to pat it between this deepest shade that I applied and this one. So right here, that's where I'm going to add the pink. Just using my clean hands here. So it's just like a hint of pink there. I'm going to take this lilac shade and just take that under the bottom lash line. I'm going to take the deepest shade and add that to the outer corner on the bottom as well and connect. I'm actually going to use this as a bit of an eyeliner on the top as well. I do have Cassis, which I think would be really pretty if you want to use a pencil, or purple chalk. I think those are good choices. Yeah, this one's definitely not as intense as I thought it would be. It feels quite soft, even though it's a deep shade. So since that's the case, I think I am going to go in with a bit of Cassis. Where is it? I can always find every shade but the one I want. Oh, is this it? it's the last one, Cassis. Just going right along that lash line. About, oh, halfway. I'll tightline with Blackwood, put mascara on. We'll be back to do blush and lip. Let's go in now with this blush. This is one of the new ones in the shade Rose Ruban 602. So I'm going to use this brush, the Ray Morris Kabuki brush. And this one, actually, this picks up pigment pretty well, but it looks like it's not that intense. Interesting. We'll see what it looks like on. I'll be careful at first because I don't know what to expect with this. Okay, so this actually builds up quite slowly, so not what I expected with the intensity of the actual color in here. Pretty though. I think it goes really well with the palette. I don't know if it's just me, but there isn't as evident as a fragrance compared to other Chanel blushes that I've used. Okay, so you can definitely build this up though. I do like that it's not shimmery. The finish is quite pretty though. Very smooth looking on the skin. We just meet that down in the front with the Chantecaille Hummingbird powder. Beautiful glow on that. It is different though than the other blushes I've tried by Chanel. There's usually more payoff right away, and it's just different. This is layered on much slower, more sheer layers, but also the glow is really beautiful. So it's different than the other blushes I've tried. Actually, it is reminding me more of, say, the finish of this on the skin versus the original blushes that I have. It does have a little bit of like a density like this one does. So if you have this, it's not exactly the same. There's not as much of a sheen on this. It reminds me more of the finish of this on the skin versus the other blushes. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I mean, they don't feel the same. This definitely feels more powdery than this, but there are some similarities in the way that it appears on the skin in terms of that glow. I like it, but I think it's all about knowing what to expect with the application. Usually I wouldn't use this kind of a brush with Chanel blushes, but I feel like this one was probably the better choice for me to use with this blush. You could see it was a little bit harder to pick up. Okay, let's go ahead with the lip. This one's in 124, and I think I didn't pronounce it correctly. Merveille. Maybe? I don't know. Okay, so this one had more pink in it, which is why I was interested in this, especially for this look. So let's see how it works. What's interesting about these lipsticks is that I think they look so different on the lip. I did not expect, like when you look at this, it doesn't look like it will have this kind of vibrant quality to it, but it's quite vibrant. I thought it would be more, I don't know, pink? But I think it has more of a corally tone once it's on. And usually that doesn't happen. Usually something like this will actually look much cooler on me. I think it works for spring. It makes this a little bit more interesting, but unexpected, I'm going to say. But I love this formula. It's really hydrating. Beautiful, glossy kind of finish on this. If that's what you like, you have to like that to like these, and more pigment than say something like the Rouge Cocoa Flash. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to use this lightest shade. I always forget something. Okay. Let's take a brush. I'm gonna take this lightest shade and then place it in the inner corner. I didn't do that. Let's go ahead and recap everything starting with the palette. I thought this performed really well, and when you initially look at this palette, or when I did, this color really kind of stood out to me as really bright. So I prefer my makeup a little bit more subtle, so I chose to just use that a little bit right here. And if you cover this up, this actually looks quite simple. So this color makes it a little bit more interesting, I think. So depending on how much pink you want, you can always, of course, add as much or as little as you like. But I think you really have to like purple to like this palette, simply because these three really are some shade of purple, whether it's a lilac-y shade or this is, it looks like it's white, but it actually has a little bit of lavender in there. But I think it is a really beautifully performing palette. Actually, three of the Tisse quads, Tisse Vendôme, Tisse Rivoli, and this one all have deep shades that perform really well. So there's nothing patchy about them. They go on quite smooth. It's only the other Tisse palette, Tisse Essentielle, which is a different consistency. It's a little bit more powdery, more matte for sure, but there's still a sheen to that one. That deepest shade is a little bit harder to work with, but this one was really easy to blend. So even without a crease color, I used this as a crease color. I think it worked really well together. So beautiful palette. Of course, let me go ahead and swatch all of the Tisses that I have for you side by side, just so you can get a comparison. And here are the 4 Tisse palettes that I have. From the left, Tisse Essentielle, Tisse Rivoli, Tisse Vendôme, Tisse Cambon. Here we have Tisse Essentielle, Tisse Rivoli, Tisse Vendôme, Tisse Cambon. Onto the blush. This one right here, much different in the pan, just like the other one I have, which is new, the Bron Rouge, this one. They are different on versus the pan. So if you look at this, it looks brighter. Yeah, I'm just gonna apply a little bit more. It doesn't have the intensity I thought it would in terms of its depth. Now it's still bright though. I think it's really pretty, but the way it went on was more sheer. But I like that it's buildable too, so you're not surprised at how much you apply at once. So I thought it built really nicely. I like the finish of it. This is a brush I use when I find blushes are more dense and a little bit harder to pick up. And so I thought actually this was a good brush for this blush. I think it comes down to knowing what to expect with this blush in terms of application, because it is a different experience applying this blush compared to the current blushes that I have. So as long as I know what I'm working with, it's fine. So I think it's expectation is part of it as well, but I think the result is beautiful. So this is kind of reminding me of the Hermes lipstick that I have in 21, I believe. When I look at it like this, it looks pinker. And when I actually apply it, it looks warmer, which usually doesn't happen. What usually happens if something has a little bit of warmth in it, once I apply it, it's kind of canceled out by the warmth of my skin and usually turns out more pink. But in this case, I think it turned out more warm. I don't know, let me know what you think, but I was expecting it to look pinker than this. But I think this look was okay with a brighter lip. I think it makes it look a little bit more fresh and a little bit more spring-like. Now I believe I have one more Tisse to pick up, so I've got a blush I need to pick up as well as a lip. So let me know what you think I should pick up. Let me just check. It will be Tisse Camellia. So if you have a blush and or a lip that you would like to see, let me know. I'll be happy to pick something up that coordinates with it. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.